Let's talk about a few things. Welcome, everybody. Now, I couldn't sleep last night, so I actually did part of this last night live, but it didn't post properly, so I'm going to redo it so I can post it so people who watch me through email or YouTube can see my comments on the first issue that I covered at 3 a.m, but it didn't get posted. First thing I want to talk about is the end times bullshit. Oh, is this one frustrating? Anyways, happy hour. If you're having a toast, little wine recommendation here. Little California wine, Meiomi. I have their Cabernet and their Chardonnay. It's actually quite good. Medium range, mid-range, low mid-range. If you get the coupon at Safeway or Bevmo. Because you need a glass of wine to get through this bullshit. Okay, end times bullshit. Everybody read on the news. Pete Hegseth and a lot of the other administration officials are framing the war in Iran as the end times, as the Armageddon. And they're invoking the non-biblical mythology that aligns with other biblical mythologies. They're going into the rapture pretty hard. This whole bullshit of framing the Iranian war as this politicized evangelical, and a few other sects believe this bullshit. But here's the thing. The rapture is not in the Bible. The rapture was thought up by a guy in England in the 19th century. Nowhere close to, 0 AD, when many people believe Jesus of Nazareth was around, even though there's no historical evidence whatsoever that Jesus of Nazareth actually existed. So they're going to use the rapture, which is a story of made up by this English preacher, a couple hundred years ago. Has nothing to do with the Bible. That was written, most scholars think, about somewhere between 400 and 600 AD. Has nothing to do with that, but it's now part of the politicized religious culture of America. Okay. And particularly Hegseth and some upper commanders have gotten so crazed with their rapture end times excuse for the Iranian war that last time I read, about 105 soldiers, most of them NCOs, non-commissioned officers, sergeants, filed complaints with the military arm of Freedom from Religion organizations. The military has no right, Hegseth has no right, your commander has no right to attempt to doctrinate you into anything biblical or non-biblical. And remember, the rapture is a bullshit story that's not in the Bible. But they're trying to tell you is their Americanized, politicized, evangelical faith means this is the end times. Total horseshit. And I'm gonna explain to you in quite a bit of detail, okay? And if you were with me this morning, I know I'm repeating myself, but bear with me here. We have to understand that people forever and a day have used this canard of the rapture as a con, as attention-seeking nonsense, as just, generalized bullshit. Okay? How do I know it's bullshit? Okay, I gotta tell you the story. Now, I missed the first round of this because I was living down south in the Central Coast in the 90s when he pulled this shit the first time. But I was in the Bay Area for the second time. Let me tell you the story about family radio of the Bay Area, led by Harold Camping. He ran a little radio station in the 90s out of Oakland, Alameda. I forget what actual city the radio station sat in, but let's just call it Oakland Metro. He became infamous for not calling the end times once, but he called the end times twice on his radio show. Now, the first time he did it was September 1994. He said the world's coming to an end, like many other hucksters and cranks have claimed before. It's totally the rapture. We're all going to die. And he says, September uh, uh, is the date, is the month we're all going to die. Of course, September 1994, nothing happened. The world didn't end. Demons didn't rise up through the ground. The sky didn't turn into lava and ash and collapse upon us, and nobody ascended to heaven. That did not happen in September of 1994. Okay? So he spent some more time working on his con artistry and his hucksterism. And lo and behold, he turns around in 2010 and predicts that on May 21st, 2011, the rapture is going to hit, and it will be the final end. On May 21st, 2011, he predicted on October 21st. They love calling it the 21st or the 22nd day of the month. All these rapture stories either use the 21st or 20, some different months, different years, but they always use 21 or 22 as the day of the month. That's weird. Okay. But he said on May 21st, 2011, that the rapture was scheduled for October 21st, 2011, and everything is going to be leveled. Everything's going to get wiped out. Since we're all still here, and again, no demons appeared out of the ether, the sky didn't collapse, lava didn't come shooting up out of the ground all over the earth, and the world wasn't destroyed. So we know Harold Camping was full of shit. But this is the evil side of the story with Harold Camping in the Bay Area apocalypse bullshit. The first round, he got a little attention. He had a couple of followers doing his little bidding. Okay. Then we got to go from 1994 to his second round in 2011. In 2011, he convinced up to 5,000 people worldwide that the end times were here, and he convinced them to sell all their stuff, sell their homes, sell their properties, empty their savings account, 401ks, pensions, retirements, whatever, and start buying billboards and radio ads claiming that the end times is here. He basically ruined 5,000 people's lives. Okay. The disgusting thing, he talked 5,000 people into blowing almost, by some projections, $100 million on his cranky fucking scheme. Okay? He ruined thousands of people's lives with this end time nonsense. And like I said before, physics has a good idea when the planet's going to end. Planet Earth is going to go bye-bye when our little sun, Sol, runs out of hydrogen fuel and starts going from a medium grade yellow star to a red giant. When it starts expanding out because it's ran out of fuel and it's starting to burn helium, it's going to expand. The sun is going to expand its radius through the orbits of Mercury, Venus, and Earth, possibly even Mars. Okay. But Mars will basically be just a burnt cinder no matter what happens. Mars will be the new Mercury after the red giant appears. That's going to happen in about 8 to 12 billion years from now. Okay. That's when the end times are going to occur for the human race, because our star is dying. Okay. It's not because Harold Camping or Pete Hegseth or another huckster moron has told you that Magical Sky Daddy has a plan for all of us to die. Okay. One of the worst stories about Harold Camping and his 2011 stunt, one New York retiree blew his entire life savings on ads and billboards, $140,000, and left him destitute with nothing. I mean, completely destroying people's lives over a mythology of the end times. Now, which leads me to go, you have got daffy bitches on TikTok dancing and celebrating the Iranian war as civilians die, as little girls get missiled to death in a school, GIs get maimed. We've already got 8 dead. We're probably going to have another 8 to 10 dead in the next week, just out of the ones who are not going to make it through medical treatment. Kaiserslautern Hospital in Germany is no longer taking labor and maternity cases, and they've done a full blood call for mass casualties. Okay. There's at least 140 people in the hospital from the wars in the attacks in the Middle East. Okay. Judy says, magical sky god people control the nuclear arsenal. Not sure if the red giant gets us. Yes, that's the point I was going to make in a minute, Judy. Absolutely, yes. These cranks, it's not just like some random simpletons believe the rapture, again, which is not even in the Bible. They believe it's in the Bible. Dan McCullen over on YouTube's got a great video of this. It's not biblical. The rapture is not biblical, but it is like nouveau culturally biblical, because the rumor mill has inserted this 19th century story into the dogmatic teachings of many of the Christian politicized sects in America. Okay. The reason why in 2011 that Harold Camping was able to do so much damage, and this was all pre-mainstream internet the way we know it today, is he got syndicated on AM radio. By 2010, he had 66 transmitters all over the United States rebroadcasting his signal, and people were redistributing it in various methods, including the Nancy internet and, recording the broadcasts and sharing them, whatever. He got quite a following, and he destroyed a whole bunch of lives. There are people in power like Mike Grinder Johnson, Speaker of the House, and trying to compete with Leslie Graham as chief twink of Congress. Mike Grinder Johnson actually believes the shit. And he is 2 steps away from the presidency. Okay. Yeah. They control the nuclear arsenal. You have a dementia patient right now who's not a Christian, who's not religious, who just plays the part of a religious person so he can con the rubes. Okay. But there are people in the secession team that actually do believe this shit. Okay. And again, any religious scholar will tell you the rapture is not a biblical thing. It's not in the Bible. But they believe it anyways because they are cultural, politicized American Christians who drink a lot of the grape flavor aid. Not the good fermented grapes. Now, this is where the whole death cult, remember, they're all pro-life, but now they're dancing on their porch sofa going, yay, the end times here, Jesus is going to take us and he's going to kill the rest of you. Yay! That's your pro-life crowd right fucking now. Go watch TikTok. Go watch Instagram. Go watch YouTube Shorts. They're literally dancing and cheering as civilians and military personnel get slaughtered and maimed in a war because they think they're already going to heaven. Now, this is the funny thing. During the rapture, if your ass is still on the ground, you lose. So the crazy bitches I'm watching dance on their sofa. Oh, yeah. A couple of them are doing the jerk off dance like Trump is doing. Oh, jerk off number 1, jerk off number 2. Oh, jerk dance. They're all happy that the Iranian war is happening. Okay. But they don't get the story. Just like they don't read the Bible properly and they really don't understand the Bible, they don't understand the rapture story either. If your ass is still here, you lost. So what the fuck are you cheering about while dancing on your porch sofa? Idiot. Now here's the problem with the end time story. Okay, let me find my notes here. Okay, here we go. Let me tell you the 10 times this has happened already. And the 10 times we're all still here. Okay. Let me break down the history of the end times bullshit being repeated by TikTokers the administration, and the current Department of Defense Secretary. Okay? This is the level of bullshit we have to deal with. In 1844, William Miller and the Millerites. Oh, you got to love a good cult name where the guy leader's last name is your group name. Millerites. Oh, we definitely a cult. This is the granddaddy starter of the bullshit. Okay? They said on October 22nd, remember I keep telling you they love 21 and 22 as the day of the month. On October 22nd, 1884, ended up being the famous Great Day of Disappointment because the Christians were still here and they were all sad about it. Not enough people in their pro-life culture were smited to death. Not enough of Earth was vanquished for their liking. It created tens of thousands of true believers, then tens of thousands of depressed people, and I'm sure some of them killed themselves. Okay, because that's what cult members do. They buy into a package, the package blows up in their face, and then they, walk into the bedroom and find a shotgun, pull a Hemingway. Then, I love this one, Charles Taze Russell of the early Watchtower movement that eventually became the Jehovah's Witnesses. They didn't say the world was going to end once. They didn't say it twice. They didn't say it 3 times. They said it 4 fucking times. In 1914, 1918, 1925, and 1975, the Watchtower movement all claimed the end times were here. Yeah, I'm still here. 4 times they said the world will be destroyed because the little baby Jesus loves us so much, he's going to destroy the earth. That makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? And this was a huge thing. Hundreds of thousands of people, by the time their claim in 1975 happened, hundreds of thousands of people were disciples to this stupidity. And they bought off on it, hook, line, and sinker. Then we don't stop there. Edgar C. Winsnott in 1988 made big money, writing and selling a booklet called 88 Reasons Why the Rapture Would Be in 1998. It was a fad book. I mean, not as popular as Beanie Babies or Pet Rocks, but he did well. He made some money for himself. Okay? He was sort of the booklet version of Harold Camping. Okay? And he told you explicitly, October 21st, 1988, we're all going to die except for the good people. And strangely, 144,000 Jews. Why a baker's dozen? What is a gross? What is this? A gross times 1,000? How do they get that number? But yeah, all the good Christians, which means the people with all the money and the power, not you. You're not ascending to heaven. You're not rich and white enough. You're not part of the inside scheme of these sects to be ascended. Okay? Now, you got to love this. About 6 years early, Pat fucking Robertson, a TV preacher, said in 1982, we are facing the looming judgment. And this was his fundraiser for a year. Cash money by telling you you're going to die. You sick son of a bitch. Then, it doesn't stop. Then Ronald Whelan, okay? Much smaller footprint than the other con artists, the other hucksters, but he said it was in October of 2008. Then he moved the goalpost about 13 times. Okay? He was basically a low-rent Ponzi version of Harold Camping. Thought it was a good brand of fraud he could try. But of course, didn't really work out that way. And again, we're here, we're talking, the end times didn't occur. Now, how many times have they predicted since the OG con artists, the Millerites? How many times have the right-wing wackos said the end time is here and we're all going to die, except a few good people? Not you, just me. How many times did they do this? Not once, not twice, not 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. They did it 10 times. 10, 10, 10, 10. 10 times. Now we have a social media version for the 11th where we have hundreds of thousands of people doing it, including political and military leaders. Why doesn't America understand a con when the con is straight up in your face? Okay, they have been wrong 10 times before, but Hegseth is standing at a lectern screaming at the troops how they're doing the job so Jesus can return and kill us all. Blah! Now, Hegseth, I'm sure, thinks he's going to be one of the ascended. But I'm sure if your bullshit was true and your dogma wasn't pure fantasy, if God was real, one, she'd be a woman. Two, she would look at that case in Monterey, California, where he allegedly sexually assaulted a woman at the Hilton after a Republican confab. He would take one look at that. Then he would take at all the Iranian dead schoolgirls and go, you don't get to ascend. Because you think Pete Hegseth is worthy of ascension under these myths? That tells me how much of a fraudster you think you are and how much of an idiot you think I am. Okay, because the worst people in world history always claim their actions have been anointed by magical sky daddy. Every single one. Dear Leader Pornstar Humper certainly was not the first leader to be picked by Boogie Boogie, magical sky daddy. Saddam Hussein said the same thing. Gaddafi said the same thing. Idi Amin said the same thing. The Ceausescu said the same thing. The Catholic dictator of Albania, Huksa, said the same thing. Every jihadi, whether it's Al-Qaeda, ISIS, or whoever next dipshits that come into the mix are, they're all given permission to do what they're doing because of God. Every excuse for every evil usually is followed up with a suffix telling you how religious and faithful they are. Therefore, my actions are justified. In my book, that's total bullshit. That's self-justification with malignant narcissism and egocentric insanity all piled into one. Now, here's the thing that scares me about the cult members today in America and around the world. According to a Pew survey that was done in 2022, 47% of U.S. Christians, regardless of underlying sect, quote, we are living in the end times, close quote. 1 out of 2 believe we're all going to burn up while they scream pro-life in our face. Now, this is the weird thing. If we're all going to die in the next 20 minutes, why the fuck do you care about immigration? All the dirty little criminal immigrants are going to be smited. What the fuck do we need military strikes for? The wee baby Jesus is going to murder them for you, right? That's your rapture mythology. Can you pick a fucking lane? We need to have an apocalyptic fucking war so the apocalypse can come down so Jesus can smite everybody. Then what the fuck do we need you for? Why don't we just let it happen? Oh, we have let it happen 10 times. 10 times we've let this happen. Looking for those demons. No red 7.5 foot tall men with red scales and a tail. No, not seeing anybody. But they're absolutely convinced they're in the end times. So we got to go to the war with Iran so we can get the end times because I'm so pro-life. Oh, bullshit. Why isn't more people calling bullshit? What does Kyle call on South Park? Shenanigans. I'm calling shenanigans. Here's another scary things. 10% of all U.S. adults, religious, non-religious, Christian, not Christian, whatever, 10% of all U.S. adults said Jesus will definitely or probably return in their lifetime. This is a group psychosis. This is distributed mental illness. Now, under Protestants, the number climbs to 21%. Under evangelicals, I'm going to need a swig of wine for this one. Evangelicals who believe they're living in the end times, 63% according to Pew Research. We're all going to die, and that's a good thing, but I need to let a woman bleed out in the parking lot because Jesus doesn't like what you're doing. Jesus is coming back to smite us all anyways. So what's your fucking point? I don't get it. Now, Black Protestants are drinking the Flavor Aid too. 22% of them think it's happening. Okay. The ones that surprised me in the polling, mainstream Catholics. Only 7% of mainstream Catholics believe the end times are here. And I bet you the 7% of Catholics, those aren't mainstream Catholics. They identified as mainstream, but they actually follow one of the weirder subsects of Catholicism like Opus Dei. Okay. According to a 2025, last year, 2025 YouGov poll, 46%. In a 2025 YouGov poll of U.S. adults, 46% of Americans said that the rapture, if it occurred tonight, they would be ascended to heaven. Really? No. Under the rules the right wing puts up for themselves and for the country and all the things they want to codify and make statutory law, none of us make it through the rapture. I know I don't. I'm just a freaky little heathen atheist, right? But even amongst the faithful, 99.99% of you ain't making it. By your own rules, by your own mythology. Like if I applied your bullshit to my extended family I grew up with, one barely makes it, and that's my great aunt Pearl. Her only vice was smoking cigarettes. She didn't drink. She was a faithful woman. She actually believed in the crucifixion of Jesus. Okay, she literally prayed to Jesus every day before she went to bed for her whole 96 years on earth. Okay, under your rules, I don't even think the wonderful, darling great aunt Pearl, I don't even think she makes it under your rules. And she is the nicest, sweetest woman of my entire lifetime. All my great aunt Pearl did was love the family and support the family. This is a good, kind, well-meaning soul. I don't even think she can make it under your rules. All us Irish, that was my French side of my family. The Irish, we all drink, smoke pot. We don't give a shit. Like in my Catholic side of the family, my dad's side of the family, we're all Irish Catholics. Well, I used to be. I'm an atheist now. But the Irish Catholic side of the family, they have a saying. There's a big difference between Saturday night and Sunday morning. Yeah, there is. You should see the parties when I was growing up, with my family. They partied hard on Saturday nights. 18% of the people, only 18% of the people surveyed by YouGov said they would be left behind. 82% think, oh, my shit doesn't stink. You haven't read your own rules. Oh, sun coming down again. Little sun filter on my camera. So yeah, this is an American culturalism that's deeply rooted in disinformation propaganda, not faith, but dogma, and just general bullshit. Now, this is the scary part, how culture and media really affect people. A Lifeway survey in 2016 of U.S. Protestant pastors, 36% of them, approximately 1 out of 3, didn't believe in the rapture per se, but they believed in the pre-tribunal rapture, the kind popularized by the Nicolas Cage movie Left Behind. So you already had a daft fucking concept, and you go, let's make a movie out of it. I'll believe that more. Out of all American Christians, white, black, purple, Kirk's green girlfriend, doesn't matter, half believe the end times in some capacity. That's nutty. White evangelicals and evangelical Protestants is closer to 80% believe this shit. Mainline Protestants and especially Catholics believe it a lot lower, but a lot of the people still believe it. If half your belief system believes that we're all going to die because the loving, benevolent God is going to release hell on earth, I think you have mental problems. I think you have a difficulty telling the difference between reality, fiction, and dogma. And it also proves to me a thing I've noticed for a long time. The American politicized Christian is not a follower of Jesus Christ. They're just a death cult. In fact, many of them confuse Paul the evangelical with Jesus, and they like quoting Paul, pretending that's what Jesus said. John Fugelsang just wrote a book about it. I got to go pick that one up. I haven't read it yet. I just read the excerpts and watched a couple of his interviews about it. But yeah, we are dealing with a political death cult that chooses violence over any other option. Because why do anything else but kill people? Deny people their rights? Because we're the good Christian doing Jesus's work. This is why we get to be a violent, war-fronted society that loves killing people, including our own service members. They try to be mournful about it, but especially with Trump being on the tarmac, do you see that one? Wearing the baseball cap. You're in civilian clothes, asshole. Take the fucking baseball cap off and show some fucking respect. If you're in military uniform, your hat is your cover. You do not remove it. Okay? If you are a civilian, you take your damn headgear off when you're receiving the fallen. Yeah, that one pisses me off. It truly does. I'm actually mad about him because it's not just wearing the baseball cap. He wasn't paying attention to what was going on. Did you see the video? Fidgeting with his pocket, looking around. Okay? He should have never been there if he was going to act like that. So if you're one of the Americans who have not drunk the great Flavor Aid yet, okay, please don't start. Please, I'm begging you not to start. Okay, do not join this death cult. Because whatever it is, it involves hurting somebody or killing somebody. Because the more pro-life you are, the more you are for the death penalty, the more you are for corporal punishment of children, and the more you are for global warfare and military adventurism. As long as we don't provide women medical care during pregnancy, you think we're a moral society. Fuck you. That's my response to that. You were never pro-life, not for an instance. You just like using the political wedge of pro-life to get your own way on a host of other issues that have nothing to do with saving the little babies. Because if you tear gas a bunch of kids in Minneapolis in a minivan, you called the little kids domestic terrorists. So much for pro-life and protecting the little kids, because when you gassed a 6-month-old baby, you took it as a war victory. So again, fuck off. Your political theater makes no goddamn sense. You were never pro-life. You were literally a death cult on the march to hurt other people. You have no willingness whatsoever to fix a single real problem we are dealing with in this society. Whether it's climate change, making sure most of Americans have electricity and that the rates don't actually go so high we can't afford to light up our own homes or cook dinner in the oven. Okay? You don't care about fixing infrastructure. You don't care about building the power plants, including nuclear power plants we need to make sure we have a solid infrastructure system. You don't care about healthcare. You don't care about pediatric cancer research. All you care about is, I want to go to a hospital and shoot a doctor because that doctor dare touch a pregnant woman against my dogma. And it is dogma. Because some of the videos I've seen about the claims about a DNC, that's a common procedure. It's yes, used in abortion, but it's also used for a whole bunch of things when you have to go inside and look at the private parts, okay? But you just want to mangle complicated medical terms so you can have political power. So people will vote for you because, oh, you're protecting the little babies. You're protecting people how? By kidnapping a little girl and holding her hostage to get her parents to come out so you can beat them even though they're legal residents? Yeah, ICE did that. But you're out there to protect the little children, huh? Open up a window. It's getting hot in here. It's hot in hell in here. It's like 75 degrees here. And it's only March 12th. Yeah, so where do you think you get off screaming pro-life? The same pro-lifers tell me the answer to drug abuse is shooting every drug user. Whether they're users or abusers, it doesn't matter. Shoot them all. And they usually ask the cops to do it because they don't have the balls to do it. Okay, just like today, there's a tyrannical government raiding the streets, abusing citizens. That's why we have a Second Amendment. Where's the Second Amendment crowd? Hiding in their mama's closet. They're downstairs in their mama's basement jerking off to their blacklight poster of Joe Rogan butt slamming Kyle Rittenhouse. The Second Amendment crowd is completely absent. Okay? You see a trend here? Because the pro-life crowd is the wacko 2A crowd. It's a Venn diagram that's almost completely conjoined. The right and the far right lied to us every fucking step of the way. And who helped them? Democrats. That's for another conversation. Yes, the Democrats approved the Iraq War. Democrats approved the bank bailouts. Democrats voted for the tax code. That's fucking overworking people and causing all the debt. So don't give me this bullshit that Democrats get a free pass. Fuck you. That's not the way the world works. That's not the reality of the world. Okay. We have a criminal con artist and a bunch of Nazi gang members have constructed a street gang largely on the base of evangelical Christians. Evangelical Christians who are the worst hypocrites on planet Earth. How do I know they're hypocrites? Because I watched one, this was a couple months ago, try to do revisionist history about the TV preachers of the 80s. Okay. He tried to tell his audience, the far right podcaster, tried to tell his audience that Jim Bakker got canceled. Jim Bakker went to federal prison for raping Jessica Hahn, his church secretary. He was not canceled. He was convicted, sentenced, and incarcerated. Oh, we believe in the sanctity of marriage. So you change the story how married Jim Bakker, remember Tammy Faye Bakker, who's Erica Kirk's generational twin right now? Okay. Jim Bakker was married to Tammy Faye. He was raping women on the sides. Because I literally don't think that was Jessica Hahn was the only woman he ever assaulted. Because that's not how rapists work. I doubt Jessica was his first victim. Highly, highly doubt that as a trained investigator. Okay. So Death Cult is dragging the whole country down. Death Cult doesn't believe in fixing a goddamn thing in our society. They just want more violence, more war, so they can summon the end times. Why? Because it's just a suicide death cult. Oh, please come down and kill me. Or the other irrational side, come down and take me to heaven, even though I'm a worthless piece of shit with no ethics, no morals. I'm a racist. I'm a xenophobe. I cheat and lie on my taxes. I've committed crimes. Oh, I get to ascend to heaven because I'm one of the good people. I'm absolutely sure Donald Trump, because he keeps saying this, I hope I'm worthy to go to heaven. You raped a woman in a department store dressing room. You fucked a porn star behind your wife's back. Adultery. That gets you into heaven? You're a convicted business frauder who stole money from other people. That gets you into heaven? When I'm saying the rapture and the end times is bullshit, bullshit's the wrong word, but I don't have another word. It's bullshit times a million, I guess, because this is absolute fucking nonsense they're selling us. And they've been selling it to us for fucking decades. And nobody balks when they start selling this shit to the troops and start putting on the TV like it's something real, even though they've done it 10 times before and it's all been a lie. But no, this time is the end times. But Jesus loves me and he hates you and you're black and you're a trans and you're a queer. I hate you. I'm the ascended. Fuck you. You self-moralist bastards. I can't stand you people. I literally cannot stand people like this. You know who's not being ascended in the rapture? Joel Osteen. Name another prosperity preacher. None of them are being ascended because they're all fucking con artists. So please spare me with your pro-life bullshit, your faith bullshit, because you don't worship anything. You don't worship Jesus Christ. You don't have a faith in God. You have a faith in your death cult. Okay? Just come to terms with that. Then deprogram yourself if you have to. Okay, let's talk about be prepared. We're in the worst security position we have been in my entire life. There is a real risk of Iranian attacks on U.S. soil, either directly by Iranian agents or, like we saw today in 2 different incidents at Old Dominion University, a known terrorist attacked a university. The FBI wasn't watching him because the FBI's too busy finding woke, I guess, and finding Antifa. But a guy that was convicted of material support of terrorism was just let out on the street and let go, and he can do whatever he wants. Then we had a temple attack against a synagogue. Okay. This is going to be the next couple of years of our life. Okay. And it isn't the bullshit like they said, after 9/11. Every city is going to be attacked. No, you're going to have a couple of big incidents caused by some mimics, some copycats, like the guy in Times Square. Okay, with the truck bomb that didn't go off. Okay, you're going to have copycats here and there. But I think this is something different. We not just decapitated the entire 50 top people in the Iranian government. We just didn't do that. We killed the religious leader, essentially the Pope of the Shia Muslim community. And there's 220 million Shias in the world. Yeah, I think you just uncorked a bottle that you can't put the cork back in. Yeah, it's coming. Be prepared for widespread damage. And that's not to say that they're bullshitting at the same time. It's so unlikely. Now, is it physically possible to do a drone attack like the FBI warned Newsom and Mayor Lori of San Francisco and everything? Is it possible that a shipping vessel be set up as a launch platform for a drone attack? Absolutely, yes. Absolutely physical and monetarily, budget-wise possible. Is that the most highly likely scenario? No. Why would Iran attack California? That plays into Trump's narrative. Trump hates California. Trump and Hegseth would probably start lighting candles and fucking toasting over a glass of fucking booze. I think the whole story is fucking hogwash. Is it physically possible? Sure. Okay. Malcolm Nance, the ex-naval intelligence guy, said, no, that's not even a capability. I think remotely possible, physically possible, sure. But why would you attack California? That would only that would play into Trump's mania. If Iran wanted to attack something, they have two choices: attack things that Trump likes, or attack something that's actually meaningful to our infrastructure and our economy. Best show you've ever done. Thank you. Well, thank you, Liz. You want to piss off Trump? Don't blow up downtown San Francisco. Trump's just going to get on Shovel and celebrate that. Oh, see how woke couldn't defend themselves? Ha 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 ha. Okay. You want to hurt Trump? Blow up Mar-a-Lago. Send a fucking couple of drones that are actually phosphorus or thermite. Send them into Mar-a-Lago and burn down his little home away from home. That will piss him off. Send some drones into Trump Tower. Send it into the clubhouse at Bedminster. That makes sense. Okay? Bombing California makes no sense whatsoever. None. Okay? But are attacks going to occur? Yeah, today was the proof of the pudding. We are going to suffer a dozen to dozens of attacks. Because remember, DHS wasn't concerned with Iranian agents. FBI wasn't concerned with Iranian agents. Why? Kash Patel fired the Iranian experts out of the counterintelligence division of the FBI just 6 days before we went to war with Iran. I don't think that's a coincidence. Okay. DHS is focused on beating the shit out of the tamale grandmother in Chula Vista. They're not worried about Iranian agents about to blow up a Piggly Wiggly or take out a power plant in Texas. Because if you really want to do damage to America, affect the electricity that powers the manufacturing center of America right now. And that's the corridor from northern Mexico through Texas up to Nebraska and Oklahoma. Attacking California doesn't win Iran or any agent of Iran anything. But are terrorist attacks going to continue? Hell yes. Hell yes. As we learned today, the FBI counterintelligence and the FBI surveillance teams aren't watching known terrorists. They're allowed to roam the streets as we go after Juan and Jorge because they dare pick that artichoke. How dare you pick that artichoke? You're under arrest. Known terrorist get to walk free in the streets and do another attack. So head on a swivel when you're out in public. Okay, I don't control any of my behavior. I lived through the terrorist shit in Europe, including going after them personally. Okay, I don't have a fear of being attacked. I still do what I do. If I want to go to dinner, I go to dinner. If I want to go to a concert, I go to a concert. But once I'm in that theater or that concert hall, I know where all the exits are. Okay, pay attention to when you're out in public because they instigated something they can't control. And the real threat that's against the nation now, they don't care about. They're still looking for woke. They're still looking for Antifa. They're still looking for the woman who tried to get health care. They're not too concerned with Iranians blowing shit up or copycat mimickers blowing shit up or attacking anything. They're not worried about that. Oh, did you guys hear the story that the hackers already have the Epstein files? They broke into the FBI and grabbed the lot. The hackers, and black hats do operate like that. There's certain things they'll do, and there's certain things they don't do. Like I've told you before, there's a code in the street. There's a law of the streets, and there's also a law of hacking. Okay, you don't go after innocent victims. Even the black hats won't do that unless they're told sickos. Okay, when the hackers, foreign hackers, I didn't know what hacking group it was. I know it's not Furry Hacker Group because the Furry Hacker leader who damaged, they're the ones that broke into Heritage Foundation and a bunch of other right-wing organizations. The leader's in jail now. So it's not furry hackers who are ripping these right-wing orgs to shreds. If you get more information, let me know, Judy. I haven't been able to track down who they think actually did it. But this is the fun part of the story. The black hats who broke into the FBI servers downloaded all the files, started opening up the files, and went, what the fuck? This is goddamn child porn. We ain't down with child porn. So they reach out to the FBI to report child porn on this server, and the FBI through encrypted chat goes, no, that's our server. And the hackers are like, what the fuck? Not even hackers are down with child porn. So I think it's so critical now because of our political, it's not just our political situation, it's Britain, it's Canada and Alberta. MAGA is not a US creation. I've tried to explain that before. Nigel Farage is the head of the pan-nationalist system on Earth right now. And everybody else is a downstream. It goes Farage to Bannon to Trump, to all of Trump's ecosphere. Then it goes to, what's the new crazy woman's name in Britain? Kennebach. Goes to her and all her disciples. Then it goes to Danielle Smith and Peter Polivier in Canada. Goes to all their disciples. It's a huge communication network. Massive communication network. Okay, people need to understand what we're up against. So when I say in notes, hashtag dump the files, I'm not attempting to hurt any of the victims further. But I'm saying the victims and everybody else in America who's not a rapey pedo is in real fucking trouble if we don't get ahead of the crooks that are running the system. And the crooks are rapey pedos. We're at a war in Iran because Bibi Netanyahu wants to stay out of prison. He's been indicted 4 times. Dear leader porn star humper in America wants to stay out of prison because he knows he did shit. Dump the files. Whoever's got them, dump the whole thing. All at once. Damn the torpedoes. Either we deal with this because we know the Epstein files is pan-national, It goes across country. So the pan-nationalism and the Trumpian globalism is an overlapping Venn diagram. Okay? That's what we have to deconstruct now before they deconstruct America. And I've been telling you time and time and time again, this period right now is the deconstruction of America. Before they burn it all to the ground. They've already torched the barn. They're already dancing in a circle around the barn, celebrating the end times. Before they fuck everything up permanently, can we goddamn do something about these evil bastards? Oh, and it's not just the men, by the way. If you've really been following the story, you know there's multiple women involved in this story. It's not just Maxwell. You had several women, female predators involved in this as well. That's why I'm saying I don't care who is involved. I don't care at what degree. I'm done with that now. Dump the entire files out in the public and let it settle where it settles. Okay? Because I think if somebody dumped the whole files, I think 100 people out of the British government would resign and flee into hiding the next day. And I think the same thing would happen here in America and possibly dozens of other countries. And I do suspect the reason we're losing resources, money, troops, and equipment fighting the Iranian war, because the Iranian war is just another cover-up to the Epstein files. Judy says the monarchy would collapse. That's exactly why King Charles got ahead of the game. That's why he flat out fired Andrew and his wife Fergie. She's gone too. Okay. Now they're going to take the entire lineage of Andrew out of the succession chain. Okay. So King Charles has already built the buttress to prevent a monarchy collapse. That's exactly why he got ahead of this story. And I talked about that in a live session a little while ago. I think MI6 showed up with a briefcase because he called them, or his chief of staff called him and says, I want to know. And somebody showed up with a briefcase. He opened up that briefcase and he saw things that you and I haven't seen yet. Because notice that when King Charles said he wanted to see Prince Andrew, he did not summon his brother. He summoned the prince to see the king. That's why Charles came down so hard. But if we start losing House of Lords member, we start losing senators, we start losing lower house in England and House of Representatives here, and people in Canada have to resign, flee, go into hiding. At this point, I don't care. I don't diddle children, so I'm not worried about what's in the Epstein files. It doesn't apply to me, okay? I didn't fuck little kids. And the thing that bugs me about this Epstein case and why we're not just dumping the files is in the original Palm Beach County, Florida investigation, they knew this was a large conspiracy with at least a dozen suspects and 30 to 40 victims. They flushed the entire case, gave a sweetheart deal to Epstein where he basically got hotel accommodations inside of Palm Beach County Jail, and he got a slap on the wrist and let go. Why? So him and his friends could continue their trafficking and child rape. That's what happened. Okay, so I'm done. Dump the files. Dump them all. If a hacker group has it all out, put it out on the dark web. Put out a tweet letting you know it's all here. It's all up on this chain. If you can find it, go download it. Because you will never, ever, ever see a proper release of information from this Department of Justice at the federal level. That is not going to happen. They can impeach the top 5 people at the DOJ right now. The Senate could take them all out. Okay? Still not going to get a release. So dump the files. Let's get this over with. David asks, why didn't Epstein stop at it after his first conviction? That's an excellent question. That is a very excellent question. As a former sex crimes investigator, let me explain. Rapists are pathological. Okay, and this has been shown in many studies from psychiatrists and sociologists and from the crime researchers at the FBI, the actual PhDs who work for the FBI, the profilers. Back in my day, whether it was the military police or civilian police, we understood if you had a peeping Tom, a groper, or a flasher, a sexual batterer, package checker, Matt Schlapp, CPAC, allegedly there's a bar film with him walking up and checking a package of a twink. Cool, huh? Once you have those low-level sexual offenses, you have to realize you've just identified a future rapist. Rapists and serial killers have something akin, and that is escalation. What they did yesterday no longer gets their jollies off, never doesn't give them the adrenaline rush they're looking for, so they have to escalate. Okay. And this has been documented at the individual suspect level and documented at the macro level. Okay. An abuser will escalate time and time and time again. Like I remember when I was working for city police, it wasn't my team. It was the other team. We're on double ups that night because it was a busy night in the city. A festival or something was going on. So we had both shifts on. They tried to blow off just before shift change. They tried to blow off a flasher and the watch commander went nuts. Okay. And I had to tell these guys in the locker room, y'all fucked up. A flasher, a year, 2 years, 3 years from now, is going to be a rapist. Okay, they are sociological, sociopathic serial criminals. They couldn't stop if they wanted to in most cases. Like, especially the readings I've done about certain types of child molesters, they have to be isolated because they literally cannot turn off the compulsion they have in their head. I don't know, maybe give them Ozempic because Ozempic is curing a lot of things other than weight and obesity problems. They gave Ozempic to one dude who had a whole bunch of life behavior problems, including overeating and overdrinking and everything else, and he was obese and everything. So they put him on Ozempic. Not only did he lose weight, he stopped smoking, he stopped drinking, and he stopped gambling. One of the new opioid drugs kind of is in that same league. They don't know why it shuts off the opioid desire, but it seems to be more a brain drug than anything else. Just shuts off the desire for the compulsive behavior. Why didn't Epstein stop? Because he was compulsive and he was an escalating persona in a criminal pathology. Most sex offenders go on to commit more sexual offenses. And that's true to the common recidivism age of 40. Because it's amazing. After 40, recidivism just falls off the chart on almost all crimes. Okay. The one exception, actually two exceptions, is family abuse and battery and sexual offenses. So, given that's another problem with the Palm Beach County DA, given Epstein that sweetheart deal. Every DA that I worked with back in the day, because not every DA does sexual offense cases. They're usually very well experienced and well trained ADAs with a lot of cases behind them, including very difficult felony cases. They're the ones that do the sex crimes. Okay. So unless they put a total dweeb who didn't know what the fuck he was doing in Palm Beach in charge of the case, that ADA had to know he was dealing with a potential serial offender. And once they understood there was more than one victim, and there was a truckload, a little busload of suspects, then the bulb would have should have gone off in both the cops' minds and the DA minds that they had a criminal conspiracy with a criminal pathology at play. And them not addressing it is insane. It's professional misconduct on both the cops and the law side beyond what I thought was possible. Because in Palm Beach County, never mind before it got to Alex Acosta, when he was the U.S. attorney, before he got a position, higher up in the cabinet. Okay, this was all well known at the time. They didn't discover this later through reporting or follow-up investigations. They all knew this when they made the sweetheart deal with Epstein. So when you ask why didn't Epstein stop, the question should be, why wasn't he stopped? That's the question we should be asking. Because in law enforcement and legal circles, we know the persona we're dealing with. Like one of the worst sexual offenders I ever learned about, and there was many, the worst guy was the warden in, I think it was Tehachapi State Prison. You can't send letters inside and outside of a prison without them being read. Okay, especially when you're a serial sex offender and a child molester. This child molester kept writing letters to other potential criminals about how when he was released from prison, he wanted to kidnap a 3-year-old girl, take him into Santa Cruz Bay, and rape the 3-year-old. Now, the legal system did everything under the sun to try to keep him in prison, but eventually, this is before the interim laws kicked in, they can hold you longer, but eventually they had him go. So basically, we had to surveil this guy until he stubbed his toe, put him back in the joint. Some of sex offenders are literally unrepairable, dangerous psychopaths with not a stitch of fucking empathy in them. So the question should be, not saying your question, David, was bad. It was actually a great question. But I'm saying the zeitgeist question should be, why wasn't he stopped, knowing the information we have on sex offenders? That's where it really melts my brain. We know this. There's a lot of things that the FBI came up with that after more research was done, we proved that that's not necessarily true. Okay. Shoe print analysis, bullshit. It's bogus. Okay. Sex offender studies, still valid. So yeah, in 2010, 2011, when that deal went down, yeah, they should have known that. And they should have taken a much more appropriate action. And the fact that a U.S. attorney signed off on a sweetheart deal for this type of predator, this type of criminal persona, who is dangerous, actually dangerous to society. Remember, they kept telling us that marijuana smokers were the danger to society. And then you gave Jeffrey Epstein a sweetheart deal. And by research and fact and experience how dangerous this type of criminal persona is. And you essentially went slap on the back of the hand. We give you a hotel suite and a kitchen and a conference room to live in. We don't restrict your out of jail hours for work. He was only supposed to be out of jail for 9 hours a day. He was out of jail 18 to 20 hours a day. So basically he went and took naps at the jail and then went about his business. Now, the question I have is, how many girls did he rape when he was supposed to be in jail? Because he was on work release for 18 to 20 hours a day. How many more victims happened while he should have been in prison? Because you should have never been sentenced to county jail. Just like Maxwell shouldn't be at that Club Fed. She's got a fucking puppy. She's got internet access. She's got gym privileges. She's a tier 1 sex offender. If you've got the files, dump the fucking files. All of them. Embarrass whoever we got to embarrass, because I think this would be a great aftermath. People would lose confidence even more in the incumbents who are running this shit show, not only in America, like I said, but Britain, Canada, and elsewhere. Releasing the file could literally be a stake in the heart to pan-nationalism, because most of the people who support pan-nationalism are the ones in the files. But I should be concerned about the end times. Okay, the end times is just another cover-up for why you didn't prosecute rich white men for raping little children. And why you're doing everything under the sun to avoid even investigating any other suspect other than Epstein and Maxwell. And not only with Maxwell, you're trying to not investigate anybody but her, but you're actually trying to get her to provide testimony, false testimony, to completely exonerate Trump, which we all know is bullshit. I mean, how many photos would Epstein and Trump do you need to see to realize they were BFFs? And it's not just Trump. Howard Lutnick did the same. I don't barely know the guy. How do I know? I know. I guess I read about him in the paper. Next door neighbors in their townhouses, shared a wall, but he doesn't know. Started a business with him, but doesn't know. Went to Epstein Island, and there's photographs of him on the island with Epstein. I don't know. Dump the files. Like everybody on every social media platform you have, you should just be putting every morning hashtag dump the files. Because even if we all come to our senses in America in the midterms and we vote better people in and we get rid of a lot of the stupid incumbents and a lot of the morons out of our leadership, that still doesn't mean we get to identify who's in the Epstein files. And it's March. It's a long way to November. Dump the files. We have to understand, if you have any common sense, if you have any self-preservation, you have to understand something here. You got played. We all got played. Now it's just a matter of what the hell we're going to do about it. Because if we don't do anything about it, we're not going to experience the end time in the rapture bullshit way, but the end of the American way of life, sure. Yeah. We'll be more like East Germany after the midterms than America if we don't get our heads collectively out of our asses. Okay. Stop buying the bullshit. Iran war is a war of choice, not a war of imminent threat. It's illegal, it's unconstitutional, and it's being justified by a stupid fucking story of the end times. Can we collectively come to our damn senses, please? Now, I think one of the biggest things we're going to be facing here with the Iranian war is the price of diesel, because diesel's the underpinning of everything. You can't run a farm, you can't plow a field, you can't do a lot, you can't ship on truck, you can't move frozen goods unless you got diesel. Okay, diesel hits $7-8 a gallon as an average nationwide. You're going to see COVID, worse than COVID inflation rates kick in virtually overnight. Okay. And now they're telling us it's patriotic to be poor. And then they say everything's cheaper than it ever was. Trump actually said this on stage there. Everything is cheaper than it was. Rent, food, fish, groceries, eggs, beef, Beef is at an all-time high against the mean dollar. What do you think that how much of that price is going to go up from its highest level of all time after we get diesel inflation? Put on the helmet. It's time. Put on a helmet, take cover. They have really, really, really screwed the pooch here. You know, like I've always been saying, hey, remember to breathe, stay calm, don't start a riot. We got to figure a path through this. We have to. We have to for our children and our grandchildren. But realize the current batch of sycophants, acolytes, and posers and con artists, they're literally looking for us to fail. Any plan to keep the criminals from being identified as a criminal, they want to go for it. Be independent. Vote independent. Run for local office as an independent. Okay? Stay informed. Stay with good sources. Your newswire sources are always a good place to start. I'm not saying you can't get any opinions, you know, that fade left or right. I mean, as long as you're not getting a monolith of information, and that monolith is from a pocket in some fringe sphere. Stay informed. Okay? Get your family informed. Get your friends informed. Tell them like, hey, don't watch Fox News tonight. Just simply read this instead. We have to actively work at this. We have to get our friends, our family, our neighbors, our countrymen to realize that we're in trouble. We've been lied to. This escapade is for a lot of immoral and unethical reasons. And we're being led by a criminal cabal that needs to be stopped. We also are being led by people who play into religious zealots who are literally a death cult. Okay? Stay informed, stay awake, remember to breathe. Until next time, please, 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 please think about it.